All right. So we are learning the Alter Rebbe in Siman Shin Yud Dalid, and let us see where we are up to. Exactly, the end of Yud Zayin. And let's see if we should be learning the Machaber first. Yeah, Machaber first. Ches. Ches in the Machaber. Choisolos, Pirush Mine Kelim, Shal Tamar Mugregros, Imakisu Kosher Bechevel, Matir Resoiser Shar Shurois Achevel, Vachoite Chafilu Besaken.
Is the same thing with Yud Zayin with Shin Yud Daled?
Seif Ches, Shin Yud Daled, Seif Ches.
Is this the same thing up over here in Yud Zayin? Is the same thing what they say here?
That's what we do. We go back and forth.
Okay.
So Chosolos are like baskets of tamarim and gregors, dates and dried figs. If their cover is tied with a rope, you can untie the knot. That's no problem because it's a temporary knot. You can also undo the rope itself. You can unravel the rope, like we've spoken. Or, thirdly, you can rip it. You can rip it even with a knife. And we already discussed in the past why that's allowed. Because that is basically soiser binyan garua. You're destroying a binyan garua. The rope itself, binyan garua, it's not a strong binyan. Here's the chiddush that we're saying now. I mean, that we already said about ropes. But here's the chiddush. Even the actual body of these baskets, actual baskets, you're allowed to break them. Breaking such baskets is like breaking nuts, walnuts or almonds, in order to take the food out of them. Meaning, say you crack a nut. What's the head to crack a nut? Clip of the nut is a strong thing. No. It's nothing. You're just cracking a nut. It's nothing. So when you break open these baskets to get to the dates of the figs that's inside of them, it's nothing. It's no problem at all.
Let me ask, this basket that you're talking about, can be reused? It can be reused? If it can be reused, it means that it's failing.
Is it going to be reused? I don't know. It doesn't say clearly.
Right now it's tearing. It
doesn't say clearly.
For the food.
Doesn't say clearly. Doesn't say.
באשר הוא שם, רבי, right? רוצים לאכול את האוכל בפנים.
מה זאת אומרת באשר הוא שם?
עכשיו רוצים לאכול את האוכל בתוך הבסקט, אז אפשר לשבור אותו.
כן.
אחר כך תסדר את זה, זה כבר יהיה לה. זה לא שייך לנו.
I'm going to tell you soon if they throw out these things or not, depending on how they learn the pshat in this thing. What's the pshat in this header? That it's it's like breaking walnuts and almonds in order to get to the food. Well, what exactly is that wording teaching us? By the way, this is not a wording from the Gemara. It's a wording from the Kolboy. Kolboy. Kolboy is one of the Rishonim, one of the later Rishonim. Not sure if we know his name. I think he wrote a sefer anonymously. Anyway, the point is that the Gemara just talks about breaking the ropes of the chosolos. It doesn't talk about breaking the chosolos themselves. The Kolboy says, you know what? You can even break the chosolos. And he explains why, because it's like breaking open the shells of the nuts. So, I'm I'm going to share with you 3 different opinions about this matter. Before we do that, actually, let's learn the Alter Rebbe, because he is one of the opinions. Here goes.
Because there's a line that makes it from the same material, like maybe vino. So, but it's only
Kosher.
just
No kosher. I mean, the tamarim happens to be, they happen to be made of kapes tamarim, the Alter Rebbe says. But groigers are figs anyway, so it's not min b'min. But you see, it's not about that. Chayisrael shall tamarim v'shal groigers. Yud ches in the Alter Rebbe.
You said to yourself,
Yud chet. It's I lemad as well. For now, we're just jumping back and forth. Chayisrael shall tamarim v'shal groigers. Baskets of dates or figs. Actually, groigers are dried figs, but whatever. Kelim that are made out of palm fronds. It's like weaving, like the lulav, leaves together, kind of the leaves of the palm. And they put in these figs and dates that did not ripen in the sun, so that they should ripen there. If the cover is connected to them with a rope, or to unravel the rope, or to cut it, like we said before. Even the actual body of these kelim, you're allowed to unravel and break, cut. They should begin kelim elu asuyim and kabestorm and binyan govru. Alter Rebbe explains why. Because this type of structure, made out of palm fronds, it's an inferior structure, not strong. Also in the sky harbor, it's not made to last for a long time. Notice Alter Rebbe doesn't say, one second, I just want to point out. Notice Alter Rebbe doesn't say you're going to throw it out immediately. He doesn't say that. Also this guy harbe, it's not going to last a long time. It's weak.
This basket, you don't break the basket, just open the covers.
But if you want to break the basket, if you're in a destructive mood,
with the rope, tying the cover, that's it. It doesn't say to destroy
Va'afilu gufan shel kelim elu mutar la'afkiya v'lachtach.
להפקיע זה לשבור.
To take apart. How does he translate it? Split or cut open. And when he is destroying it, it's nothing more than breaking the shells of the nuts in order to get to their food. Okay. 3 opinions, my friends, in the pshat of this kolboy, as brought by the Shulchan Aruch. First is the Pri Megadim. The Pri Megadim says that because these baskets are helping the fruits get ripe, like we said, these are fruits that didn't ripen properly in the sun.
Is it something like with the baby for the stomach, with the milk, with the gvina, right? Is this help to get better? The kashrut, Sarem Chalav, the stomach for the baby, for the sheep.
Yeah, but
you put this over there to make it more better.
Yeah, but whatever.
That's not in my mind.
No, and Kesher.
Thank you.
No. The point is that because this is helping the development of the fruit, therefore it becomes like the peel of the fruit.
What's developing of the basket?
The basket. Basket is helping it ripen. It ripens better in the basket. Why better in the basket? I don't know. Maybe it holds it together, so the natural heat, as they kind of get hot, whatever, they share the heat and it helps them. I don't know why, but that's how it Ripens better. So therefore, they become like the peel of a fruit. The peel is secondary to the fruit. It's considered part of the fruit. So when you break it with the peel, nobody says there's any issue. That's just part of the fruit. So this becomes part of the fruit. That is the chiddush of the Pri Megadim.
So basically, it's also allowed to break the basket.
Of course, he's just explaining why. He's not changing the halacha. He's explaining why. Now, of course, it will have a practical application halachically, because according to the Pri Megadim, this is only a heter if these things are actually helping the fruit ripen.
It's like klipa.
Not if it's not.
It's like klipa because it's inside.
Because it's inside and it's protecting it. It's helping it. It's helping it. Now the problem with the Pri Megadim is two problems.
So you're going to support only if it's made from this specific basket?
Only if it's made to ripen the fruit. How it's made, that's not important. Importance is that it's helping the fruit become ripe. It's helping it. So it's two problems with the Pri Megadim. Rav Moshe asks, Moshe Feinstein, Tamarim, we understand. Tamarim mean dates. Dates need to become, they need to ripen perhaps. Gregris actually doesn't mean figs. Gregris means dried figs. That's what it means. Dried figs. Tamarim miyubashim.
Okay.
That's what Gregris means. So they're not they're not ripening anymore. They're done. If you've dried them already, they're finished ripening. So how can he apply that concept to the dried figs? That's first of all. Second of all, and this question the Pri Megadim asks himself, just in defense of the Pri Megadim on that question, perhaps the Pri Megadim says that Gregor's here means fresh figs that are going to become dried. It's like a borrowed term. Whatever. But
I would say this, if you give a term for this marim, doesn't matter. It's both of them. It's called marim.
Zelo Tamarim. Tamar Zeteina. Tamar Teina.
Zeteina.
So
that was the process. They took regular figs and dates and then they dried them out in that basket.
No, here he's talking about helping them ripen. The ripening is not the same as the drying. The drying they wouldn't do in a basket. They would lay it out in the sun for it to dry. First they want it to ripen. Whether they're going to dry it or eat it as is, or I don't know what they're going to do with it. Wow.
של מי?
אזכרה של רבקה, מרים רבקה בת זכריה.
יהיה זכרה ברוך.
יהיה
זכרה ברוך.
זכריה? זה 30.
זה 30, מה?
יהיה זכרה ברוך.
All right, so the second question of the Pri Megadim, which he actually asks on himself, is very simple. Why do you have to come on to this? Why do you have to say that it's mutter because it is ripening it? Say simple. These are very weak kalim. And we've already learned in this Siman that weak kalim, there's no binyan and no stira. That's how we started. Shoiver Adam is a chavis, lachal and a gregorus. Okay, we explain it means a mustaki. It's not a strong thing. It's broken. It's put together. Okay, but this is, kapis tamarim, obviously palm fronds is not strong. So why do we have to say, it happens to be true that it's ripening it, but why is that important? You understand? That's his question. Stays with the question.
Who's asking the question? He's asking himself?
Pri Megadim is asking himself. Yeah.
And left with the question.
Left with the question. Although, he does mention something which maybe he means to answer the question. I'm not sure. Pri Megadim in general writes very, very the kitzer, terse in English. Mamish, very few words. So he does say something about it being 40 sa. That if it's 40 sa, then even a small binyan is significant. And maybe that's what he means. Maybe the chiddush is that even if the basket is big enough that it holds 40 saw, in which case you're chayiv. For any binyan, even if it's a binyan garua, like we've said, nevertheless, if it's helping it ripen, it becomes secondary to the fruit, and therefore it's permissible anyway.
So,
perhaps that's his plan.
So, pre-megadim, he is given a tear if it's a tamarim.
If it's ripening the tamarim.
But he has a question.
But he's not sure why it has to ripen. Even if it's not ripening, it should be okay. If it's a no? You won't have to paskin. For the next 18 minutes, we won't ask you to paskin.
Wow. Stanley. Okay.
It's also, by the way, the night after Yud Kislev. It's the night after Yud Kislev, the Mittler Rebbe got out of jail. So it's another reason. Okay. So here's reason number 2. And this is the reason that Rav Moshe gives, which is brought by many other poskim as well. Rav Moshe Feinstein. מספיק.
זה אמא של נחמאס. ציפורה. זה אמא של נחמאס.
In that case, I have to say l'chaim. Excuse us. No, excuse us. We're just going to say a little l'chaim because it's a shloshim tonight.
Amen. Miriam Rivka Bat Zecharia. ברוך אתה, אדוני, חלם בורא מזונות, אתה יודע.
רצף זה גם כן עומד? הרצף גם כן?
משפט נוסף. הנה, דברים רבה. אנחנו לומדים על דברים.
חיים, שם לעלייה. All right.
הנה אנחנו נלמד על דברים הזה. אמן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם ברוך העץ.
אמן.
אמן.
All right, my friends. After that brief intermission, here we go again. Okay, David is asking a few questions on last night's shir. So let me just finish this discussion, David, and then I'll get back to you.
Oh, I just had a quick question.
Okay.
These three questions that we're working on right now, are they from the Prima Garden, or are they're just three things that you are raising?
I only asked 2 questions. Which 3?
I thought there were 3. Something from the Kolbo.
No, the kolba is the source of this concept.
Uh-huh.
That you're allowed to break the actual basket because it's like breaking the peel, the shell of the nut.
Oh, okay.
I'm giving you 3 interpretations for the meaning of the kolba. The first was the Prima Garden, who says that the reason you're allowed to break it is because the baskets are needed for the ripening of the fruits, and therefore they become like the shells. That was his pshat. But the question was that doesn't seem to be the case if it's already dried fig. And second of all, why is it necessary to say that if it's such a weak keli, it should be permissible regardless? That's where we were. Okay, my friends. Pshat number 2 from a Moshe Feinstein, and there is basis for his pshat also in a Rishon, none other than the Meiri, as well as the Shiurei Knesses Hagdolah. And the Meiri, Shiurei Knesses Hagdolah is by Chaim ben Veniste. No, he has a pshat, which they say a similar pshat. They say so. He doesn't quote them. They say
So
similar.
what is it? Who's Chaim ben Veniste?
Chaim ben Veniste was the author of the Knesses Hagdolah and the Shiurei Knesses Hagdolah. In it, he gathers all the different things related to the Tur and the Shulchan Aruch on any given Siman that were, within the 100 years of his writing it. So I just looked him up on Wikipedia today, and whoever wrote that article there says that the Chidah says that nobody should paskin a din without looking up the Knesses Hagdolah and the Shiurei Knesses Hagdolah. So pretty high level. Anyway, from Turkey. So the pshat is as follows. Listen carefully. They say similar to the Prima Godum's pshat, but not exactly. They say that since these are generally used only for storage of the fruit, and as soon as you're finished storing the fruit, you throw it out, so therefore they become nullified to the fruit, and therefore breaking them is not significant, just like breaking the shell of a nut. Now we have a chiddush.
So they're finished like because throwing it away.
Exactly.
So basically, you can say on every other thing that you open it, you use the inside, and then you're gonna throw it.
Exactly.
All plastic bottles, wine bottles, and everything is finished.
Exactly. That's the chiddush of Reb Moshe. That if it's something that is generally thrown away, not that you personally are going to throw it away, it's something that is generally thrown away,
It's a one-time use.
one-time use type of thing. So therefore it becomes like the peel of the contents,
Like tuna fish, Rabbi?
like a tuna fish jar.
He give you there.
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, I'm not finished yet. Don't paskin based on this yet, especially after I said l'chaim. So the point is that now this answers the two questions on the Prima Godum. First of all, that could apply to any fruit. It doesn't have to be a fruit that's ripening. Anything that
So maybe
that
we'll
holds
be
it.
the rabbis in China.
Because he says it's like shoiver es goizim. He learns it from the words of the kolbe. The kolbe says that it's like breaking the shell to get to the nut. So how is it similar to the shell? The shell is something that it's only there as long as you need it for the nut. Afterwards, you throw it out. What do you do with it? It's nothing. It's useless. So that's what it is over here. It's used only to protect it, and then it has no use, and therefore it's permissible. Now, of course, that applies to any fruit. Doesn't have to be a ripening fruit. And chiddush is, even if it wouldn't be kapis tamar, it happens to be that these were made of kapis tamar, so they were binyan garua. But even if it would be a strong binyan, for example, a chavis. Let's say you have a chavis, you have a barrel, and you're storing your dates in it.
A strong barrel.
Strong barrel, exactly. And you want to break it open, take out the fruit, and throw it out. But that's the normal thing to do. It would be mutter according to this. Because the fact that you throw it out means that it's not important. It becomes tough.
Yesterday, Shmuel asked if there like tomato sauce, half left. Then this one is you cannot. Or if you have tomato sauce in the can, you open it, use half. Then if you leave the other half, you have to bring it in the plastic and then throw this one, or you can keep it in inside. Can I ask him what he asked before yesterday? Shmuel?
You asked him?
Shmuel.
He's a Shmuel. Oh, Shmuel Kerbel.
No, he is not.
Oh, okay. We'll address that. Nagil is that.
Okay.
Nagil is that Odmat, actually. So, now, the Moshe asks on himself from the Magen Avram. He says the Magen Avram does not seem to learn the Pshat like me, Moshe says. And I'm going to read to you the words of the Magen Avram. And he questions his own Pshat based on the Magen Avram. Not that he questions his own Pshat, but apparently the Magen Avram didn't agree with his Pshat. Follows. Mashma dafka hani delav kelim gemurim. It seems that it only applies to these because they are not complete kelim. They're only made for the dates to ripen in them. Aval kli gomer, but a complete keli. Pshita de aser, it is simple that it would be aser. So he seems to be interpreting that it's because it's not a kli gomer, it's not a complete keli. But if it would be a kli gomer, if it would be a complete keli, then it would be aser, even if it's a throwaway keli.
Yeah, but if it's going to be not fully gone, but still it doesn't help it to get cooked over there.
Exactly.
So it's still going to be mutar calling.
No. He's explaining why it's not a kli gomer, because they only use it to ripen it. So why should they make a kli gomer? Chaval ala kesef. There's no point. They make it cheap.
No.
Now that they make it cheap, he's explaining. It's not a kli gomer. So why should it be a kli gomer? They just use it once, they throw it out. All right, they just use it. But if it would be a kli gomer, strong keli, then it would be a problem. The fact that they only use it to be mavashal the things is not a reason for a het. That's just a reason why it's not a kli gomer.
Because the type of this basket, help the food to get
No, that's the Prima Gadon's strat.
from different materials.
That's the Prima Gadon's strat. That's the Prima Gadon's strat. That's not the Magen Avram's strat. Magen Avram saying because they only use it to ripen, so they don't make it a kli gomer. That's why it's okay.
But you refer to this type of basket or general?
He's saying if it would be a kli gomer, not this basket.
So basically, according to the way you understand Magen Avraham, any kli not gomer when you have it to get cooked over there, basically.
No. Any kli not gomer is mutter. Any kli not gomer is mutter. This happens to be a not kli gomer because that's the type of kli you need in this case. But any kli not gomer would be mutter.
Or even if you know that doesn't help him to get better.
Yeah, that's for sure. We started the Siman about a mustaki that's holding dates, and you can break it open. Nobody said over there it's helping it get better. It's already dried dates, actually. We had in the beginning of the dried figs. We had in the beginning of the Siman. So that's not a chiddush. This is just another example of the same concept.
So, Rabbi, so anything is making for kli no gamur for any food to use, so they make automatically this kli no gamur. Otherwise, they make it like a vase, kli gamur. And this particular food, whatever is in the container, they make the container or the kli no gamur, so you can throw it away.
That's how they make it, and that's why it's mutter. It's not a kli gomer. That's what it seems to the Magen Avram. However, Moshe says, no, that can't be the pshat of the Magen Avram. Can't be the pshat. Because the Kolboy says, and the Shulchan Aruch quotes him, that it's like breaking a shell. So if it's just because it's a kli gomer, what does that do with a shell? And therefore he says, when he says, lav kelim gemurim, he means exactly what Reb Moshe says. Why is it not a kli gomer? Because it's only there to ripen, and therefore you're going to throw it out. Therefore, it's not a kli gomer. But a kli gomer, meaning to say something that you reuse, shikta d'aser, for sure it's aser.
Can we say
Not the simple pshat, but you can put it in.
Then we said the egos, it's kli gamur because it's already cooked the egos inside, and we allowed to break that egos.
You're allowed to break the egos because it's nothing.
It's a kli gamur because it's finished. The
egos is not a kli. An egos is a fruit, and the shell around it is not a kli. It's part of the fruit. That's for sure.
But they take the halacha from this one to open another kli.
Yes, correct.
So we cannot say the egos. It's like it's already kli gamur.
Egos is not a kli,
No,
and I don't know what you're saying.
I cannot take that.
No. Okay. This is their Moshe's Feinstein's. Now, it's an amazing thing how many times I see the same lesson again and again, that you can never trust a malakit. Malakit is a person who gathers different opinions and puts it all together. So here I have this very tremendous Mishnah Berurah, Dirshu, which they put together all of the latest, chuvas, all the latest things about the topics of the Mishnah Berurah. So they quote Reb Moshe, and they say, since you throw it out, it's nullified, and as long as you throw it out, it makes no difference if it's strong, if it's weak. And therefore, he says, you're allowed to open sardine cans.
The Melakhet said that?
Yeah, he's quoting Reb Moshe.
Who is the
He
Melakhet?
says he's quoting Reb Moshe.
Who is that?
We can
depend on it? Rabbi?
No, can never depend on any malakit. In Kazadavar.
Okay.
I don't know who the author is. Hofstadter. He's the Nasi, and he has a bunch of people working for him. I'm sure they'll find a Talmud Chacham, I have no doubt.
Are we talking about
Sorry?
something? Yeah.
Dirshu. That I don't know. Sorry?
Are we talking about an object that you're going to throw out?
As long as you're going to throw it out,
Does it have to do with you, or it has to do in general?
in general, but it's also with you. If you're personally going to save it, then even if generally people throw it out, it's no good, and vice versa. It has to be that it's generally thrown out and you're throwing it out. So, psak, here's this psak. If you generally throw it out, so it's nullified to the fruit, it's like the shell of a fruit, and it makes no difference if it's protecting the fruit, not protecting the fruit. So you're allowed to open the sardine cans, because you generally throw it out, so it's just helping the fruit, it's nullified to the fruit. Okay.
Yeah, but isn't it a kli gamor though, that can?
No, according to him, the definition of kli gamor is something that you reuse. Something that you use once and throw out is called lav ketlim gamor, because they become nullified to the food that's in them.
But I thought you said with the Magen Avraham, a kli gamor is also even for one-time use.
No, Reb Moshe said that seems to be the pshat, but he retracted that and he said no. That perhaps we could say the Magen Avraham meant that the reason it's not a kli gamor is because it's only there to ripen the fruit, and therefore it's a one-time use. But if it wouldn't be a one-time use, then it's not a kli gamor. So when he says kli gamor is forbidden, he doesn't mean a strong keli, he means a more than one use keli. It's not a simple pshat in the Magen Avraham, but he kind of forces it in.
Okay.
Okay, my friends. Reb Moshe holds that in theory. However, here's the part of the tshuva that he didn't quote. Rabbi Hofstadter. He says, Kol ze medina, all of this is by letter of the law. Lemaisa, he says, ein lahater, we shouldn't permit this. Because the B'nai Torah are very few as a result of our many sins. And like it says in Shabbos, in a place where there are no B'nai Torah, or there are not B'nai Torah.
So what you're reading is not
No.
So what are you reading?
Reb Moshe Feinstein, Igros Moshe, Orach Chaim Chelek Aleph, Siman Kuf Chav Beis, Anaf Yud. He says there are things we should not allow because people should not come to take a leniency. And therefore, how much more so in this generation and in this place, like our place, where people are parots, we have to be strict, not to rip, listen to this, any sack, any garment, any paper, not to break open any cans, any preserves, and not even to break open the rope of a sack. Even things you need very much for Shabbos. How much more so things you don't need so much for Shabbos. And you're only doing it for kavod and oinig. Listen to this. This is very important because people say, well, it's for kavod Shabbos. How could you refrain? He says, Shamaniya, afrak machmas yir machshash chil Shabbos, zeu kavod Shabbos ayir segon. Refraining from doing this, even if it's not chil Shabbos, even if it's to protect against the chashash chil Shabbos. There is no greater honor to Shabbos than this. So, if there's a tzara gadol, a great need, for example, it's at a Sudas Nisuin, a chasana feast. He asks friends, he's embarrassed. You should ask a goy to do it. If
How
there
can
is,
we ask goy because we have one eter?
no, Moshe holds it's even mutter for a yid. It's just not. It's going to be people aren't going to understand why it's mutter. It's going to lead to people
So
making
that's why we're
laws.
allowed to ask goy.
That's why you can ask a goy. If there's no goy and he's a Talmud Chacham, he should do it in private. The tzorach gadol.
Are there any starim?
Yeah.
I've never seen such a.
What's that?
Yeah, it's here.
Yeah, there is such a thing. There is such a thing.
The different Moshe usually raised she was like that, like the stocky is like this, but you should really come up. Whole stam is good, but
No. There he says it's actually good, but a bal nefesh will be mad.
right. So like
This is not a bal nefesh. No, this is not a bal nefesh.
And
That's a totally different thing, but it's a different thing. There he's saying, I hold it's mutter, and it is mutter, and you can rely on me. It's a psak, but a bal nefesh is machmer. That's something else. It's saying it is a chiddush and a din. After all, bal nefesh will be machmer. This is something else. He's saying it's mutter min adin, but I'm advising you, generally, the general public, not to do it because it could lead to improper things. So that's just something I wanted to point out.
it is.
It's mutter min adin, but in practice he's not mater. In practice he's not mater. That leaves us
Can't do it
with
unless it's through goy.
the opinion of the truth is he does quote other matirim. The Chalkes Yaakov, Rabbi Yaakov Reish, and the Minchas Yitzchak. So maybe they give a flat out heter. I mean, they're following the same mahalach, the same understandings of Moshe, and maybe they don't give this qualification at the end. So I'm not saying there's no matirim. I'm just saying Rabbi Moshe, who's quoted as a major source to be matir, doesn't want people to use his heter because he believes it could lead to leniencies. For example, people won't understand whether something is reused or not. They'll figure, what's the difference? So, okay, but here's the thing. The Alter Rebbe does not learn the Pshat in the Magen Avraham like Reb Moshe. And therefore, we cannot use Reb Moshe's heter those that follow the Alter Rebbe cannot use Reb Moshe's heter. Very simple. If you read the Alter Rebbe, you see that it's all about the strength of the actual keli. Where am I with the Alter Rebbe?
Does it help though that tin cans are not supposed to be used just because of like bacteria and stuff? Like even
According to those that say it depends on reuse, yes. According to those that say it depends on reuse. According to those that say it's strength, no, because a tin can is a strong can. Now maybe you can't use it for food, but you can use it to collect your nails in it and countless other uses. So the Alter Rebbe says, if you read his words carefully, it is a inferior binyan that is not made to last a long time. So it's not about one-time use. It's not about throwing it out. It's simply an example of binyan garua. It's just an example of binyan garua. And therefore it's mutter. It's no different than breaking open the egoism. breaking open the egoism is not the reason for that. The reason for that, the Alter Rebbe says, is because it's a binyan gerua. It's a simple binyan. And therefore, it's mutter because it's no different than breaking open egoism. That's not the reason. That's just another example of something that's mutter.
So it's agree with Rabbi
No, absolutely not. It's only if it's a kli gerua. Only if it's a kli gerua. If it would be a binyan, if it would be a kli gomer, if it would be something that's strong, for example, a sardine can or any other can, tomato sauce, who knows what. Those are strong cans. They're not falling apart. They can be used. It's not a kli gerua. It's not a kli gerua because you can use it many, many times.
If it's sharp, it's sukan, Rabbi.
Oh, we'll discuss that soon about opening it up in a sharp way. We'll discuss that in a minute. But as far as the very fact that it should be considered not a keli because it's a one-time use, clearly the Alter Rebbe does not hold like that. So those are the three opinions that I wanted to say.
It could be a lot of the plastic concerns. It probably would be much stronger than the can of soda.
One more time. I don't understand what you're saying. One more time.
The can of soda.
Yeah.
Okay. Why not allowed to open it? Because it's strong material.
I think the can of soda, the problem is that it's a Pesach, that it's a nice opening. I'm not sure if a soda can is considered a binyan gomer or not. Why? Because it's very thin, and I don't know. It's not like a regular can, like a regular tomato sauce can. Those are strong. I don't know if a soda can is strong or not. I don't know what the getter is. For example, the Tehillah David, who also clearly forbids sardine cans, based on his understanding of the Magen Avraham. Tehillah David was a little bit after the Alter Rebbe. He explains the Alter Rebbe a lot. He was a chassid of the Berditcher Rebbe. So the Tehillah David, who forbids sardine cans, because based on the fact that it's not binyan gerua, even if you're going to throw it out, he says clearly. Nevertheless, he allows paper things. For example, he says an envelope is a binyan gerua, and he says the containers of cigarettes. I don't know how the containers of cigarettes look back in the 1800s, but those are a binyan gerua. So basically, paper, maybe even thin cardboard. I don't know exactly how to be magdarit. So I'm saying it could be a can is a binyan gerua. The problem is that even in a binyan gerua, you cannot make a pesach na. Because a pesach na is makah b'patish, and makah b'patish is also even in a binyan gerua.
Well, let me ask you. So what about soda can?
The soda can is only mutter if you hold like Reb Moshe. If you hold like Reb Moshe, that it's simply like the shell of a fruit, then it's not even the getter of a keli at all. There's no makah b'patish because it's nothing. You use it, you throw it out, it has no getter. It's secondary to the food. So that's the heter. Again, Reb Moshe himself doesn't say to use that heter, but maybe the Chalkas Yaakov, the others who go with that understanding that something you throw out is nullified to the food, based on that would be the source for being able to open a soda can. Yeah.
Soda can we're talking about.
Yep.
Let's say most of the time said will be like the shell. But it means that you're gonna have to pour the drink into a cup. But if you're gonna use the can to drink, it means that you're actually using keli. So basically, the one that you're using the header drop in the can, they should drink it from the cup, or they can drink it from the can.
No.
Why? Because the can it means that you actually made a keli right now.
No. You didn't make a keli. It's.
You couldn't drink before.
I understand that, but it's not a keli. It's holding. It's just like the kapes tomorrow. It held it. You emptied it. You threw it out. Because you're going to throw it out when you're finished, it means that it has no function other than to hold it. So it becomes like a shell. And if it's a shell, what's the difference if you break the shell? If you break open the nut and it stays in the shell a little bit longer, a little bit less, the shell is still a shell. What does it make a difference? Makes no difference.
Except regarding other cans. let's say tomato sauce, pickles, olives, they might probably much stronger material.
Yeah.
Let's say with the mahmir means that you're not allowed to open it.
Yeah.
If someone opens it, let's say in kids, people using it, you're allowed to enjoy the fruit from it, because it becomes like an issue by Jew. Are you allowed to enjoy it?
Very difficult, Shaila. This brings us back to what we discussed yesterday about something that some permit in the first place.
Yes.
Which, by the way, I looked it up. I have a sefer called Amir al-Nachri. Very good sefer on the din of Amir al-Nachri. And he says there, he quotes a Prima Godim actually, that says, Amir al-Nachri.
This is the name of the sefer.
That's the name of the sefer. He says that, he quotes a Prima Godim that says that we don't say this rule, what we said yesterday, that you can ask a goy to do anything that some permit. He says we don't say it by all machlokesen. We don't say it by all machlokesen. So, but he doesn't elaborate on what that means, and therefore, I mean, my guess is, just a guess, I didn't see this anywhere, is that it would have to be an opinion that's brought in the poskim. It's brought in the poskim, even though it's not the halacha, but it's significant enough to have made into the poskim. Then it would seem that you could rely on it. Again, I'm not sure exactly what the Pri Megadim meant, but perhaps something like that, or perhaps each machlokes has to be evaluated separately. I don't know. Anyway, but here's the thing. So we said in the Alter Rebbe that b'diavad you could benefit from something that some permit lachatchila, but the Alter Rebbe said that's only if it's Issa D'Rabbanan. Issa D'Oraisa maybe not. So based on this, you have a problem.
Depends whether you can open the can with the hole in the bottom, then we open the top.
I'm going to discuss that right now.
So we shouldn't be allowed it?
I'll discuss that right now. I'll discuss it right now.
Sometimes you go to, the Kiddush, like you don't know exactly how it's like the food or from where it comes. Like, but most people come from camp.
I'm going to discuss opening both sides in a minute.
Can I just hear what the Alter Rebbe said again? What was the sequel of what the Alter Rebbe held?
The Alter Rebbe holds that it depends on the strength of the keli. It's a strong keli, even if you're planning to throw it out, even if everybody throws it out, it's a problem
It's open.
to open.
That's why he's discussing all
Yeah,
and tuna.
yeah, exactly. And even if it's a weak keli, you still can't make a nice opening. It's a question of
With a can opener's not so.
I don't know if a can opener is a nice opening. An opening like in a soda can, which is just the right, you know what I mean? Mamish, just the right opening. That's a nice opening.
What about the tuna cans that have the flip off top? That's going around the whole thing.
Right. Here's the thing. There is another reason that there may be to be lenient, but I don't know how those are made. See, if they are, there is the concept of a megufas chavas, where you have something attached to the barrel, but not like permanently attached. So maybe that's allowed. Like you're allowed to take off the megufa off a barrel. You know what I'm saying? They used to have this plug that they used to put on the barrel, and they used to attach it, but it was made to take off. So I don't know how those sardine cans work. I'm talking about the ones that have it's very easy to peel them off. Is that what you're saying?
Sardine can do another one.
But they're still very
They
small.
have that, like a soda can. top.
Right.
You drag it backwards to be able to get the. I also make it now with tuna cans.
All right.
I also make it very common with olives and cucumbers.
All right. All right. I wonder if that's like the magufa of a chavas.
Well, wait. The Rav said that the Alter Rebbe holds that it has to be only in a kli that's not a good kli.
Right, but if it's the kli itself, if you're breaking open the kli itself, that's stira. But if you're removing a cover that was not affixed permanently, even to a Kli Gomer, that's okay. But I'm saying in the case of the Chavas that we had, the Megufa was a temporary attachment to the Chavas. So you were allowed to take off that Megufa because that wasn't like really part of it. So I wonder if that's the case by those things. I'm not sure.
How are they built? How's it made? I heard that there's a show nowadays that shows everything, how everything's made.
Yeah, probably.
I watched it.
How things are made. Sounds like a good show. Yeah. It's they probably just heat it on, so it melts just enough to get connected.
It's a huge enough community for people who fall into Rebbe.
Big enough community, yeah.
Barely open anything if that's
Big enough community, yeah. Absolutely. So the I do want to share the Chazon Ish's opinion. Chazon Ish is a big chiddush. I don't know. Not simple, because it could be a shayla with a araisa.
Business was open to both sides.
We're going to get to that in a minute.
What
Get
if
to that in a
it's
minute.
focused and a goy and a Jew did an accident? What would the Alter Rebbe hold a subject to rest or
What do you mean? Like even the Matirim don't say it's mutter; they just say some Rabbanon. Is that what you're saying?
Let's say there's some that say it's deraisa, some say it's only derabanan, some say it's mutter.
I don't think the Rabbanon opinion helps you, because you already have an opinion that says it's mutter. So, question is, what's the main psak? If the main psak is that it's deraisa, so then if even when somebody says it's mutter, it's not mutter b'diavad. So just because it's a third opinion, why would that help? See what I'm saying?
No, I was lost. The Alter Rebbe holds that if the thing is deraisa.
If the ikar psak is that it's deraisa, even if there's an opinion that says it's mutter l'chatchila, if a Jew did it, you can't benefit. I mean, he stays with the question. He doesn't say that, but he's not sure about that. So the fact that there's a third opinion in that case that says it's derabanan, saying if the main halacha is that it's deraisa aser.
But if it's the Rabbanan, it's different.
There's a famous dayan in the Badatz Eida Charedis. His name was Rabbi Yisrael Yaakov Fisher. And he was a very sharp personality. Like he was very sure of his psukim. And when they hired him to be the Av Bezdin, he wasn't their usual style. Because usually they're always machmer. The Badatz has to be machmer like everybody. And he didn't have that style. When he had an opinion, if it was Mekel, it was Mekel. He didn't care. So, but because he was such a big Talmud Chacham, they took him anyway. So he held that opening the bottle tops with a ring around it, which we didn't discuss fully, but we did discuss somewhat. The ring right there.
This part.
Exactly.
Cracks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So he held that it was mutter, and some people hold it's aser. So when he used to go to Simchas, he used to go around the tables opening all the bottles. Figured he'll do a favor for all the Yidden there. On Shabbos, he held it was mutter gomer. Remember, the people, might hesitate, so he did it for them. Anyway.
But if someone must be, he will drink that or he will not.
So that's what he's asking. That's what he's asking.
Favor.
What's happening if you miss the one table? Excuse me.
He wasn't asked to do it, right?
No, just doing it. Just doing it.
I don't see it.
I don't know. Maybe for next week I'll figure out the answer. I'm not sure. So here's the thing. Chazon Ish has a chiddushtige opinion.
Everybody's only two people. There's
Three:
three.
Prima Godim, Rav Moshe, and Alter Rebbe. Chiddush.
Sorry to interrupt. What he's asking, if a person's allowed to enjoy from that.
Yeah.
But if the person himself was allowed to do it, it's not that it is the halacha that's awesome. Right? The halacha is not over here that's awesome.
No, it's only according to Alter Rebbe that I'm asking.
So if a person who holds it's completely mutter, why would I? Well, then it's not the question of that we were asking yesterday. It's not the same question.
Right.
Because over here, you get the question from yesterday is that it's awesome, and that you're asking a goy.
Oh, there was a guy. Here it's a yid.
Right, but also there it was awesome. Over here, the guy who's doing it. Let's say it's mutter for. Let's say you don't. Let's say
Okay,
you don't
but
start
let's
it,
say-
whatever it is. Not a chabad.
I understand that, but the person who passes like the Alter Rebbe, he says, for me it's also that's it. Other opinions, that's fine, but I go by the Alter Rebbe.
Right. No, but then it's someone else doing it. Someone who's allowed to do something.
Okay, but I go by the Alter Rebbe. I hold it's not allowed. I would never ask you to do it.
That means that he's never allowed to join. It's something that is allowed to him.
According to the Alter Rebbe,
It's not.
are you allowed to benefit from a Yemenite who heats up his chicken soup in a permissible way? Simple question. He's allowed to.
No,
It's part of the
we're
Rambam.
speaking about a Jew who did it accidentally. It's not a good Yemen.
No, yes, we're talking about asking a goy to do.
Also, but when we spoke about it in Shirin Chesed, he did it in Yemen. Like the case you went to your neighbor's house and she didn't know that it was not allowed to put it on the block.
Exactly.
That's not allowed.
Exactly, but the same question could apply to a Jew who did it because he followed the opinion that allows it, and maybe he's even allowed to follow that opinion.
So, according to if he went to the Yemenite's house, the Yemenite ordered him soup. He said, "We'll be allowed to eat the soup."
No,
You embarrass him if you don't do that.
Was there a difference between this and what I thought?
You lost your job next on Sunday. You will not go to work.
said what?
Was there a difference between this and the? I told you about a story that Yitzhak Yosef said there was a child in his yeshiva that needed water on a Friday night, and he told the Ashkenazi Jew to put in the water. He's not allowed to do it because it's Girui. But he told it. It's funny because he said the story was the Ashkenazi Jew. It's like he said, told him to do it. He's like, no, I hold the. I don't think he's and the second Ashkenazi Jew that he got did it for him. But I'm saying there it would be also for him to do completely, right? And that would be an Isser D'Oraisa. Or would that is that an Isser D'Oraisa for a Sephardi Jew to add water to the salt even if it's from?
I don't know.
It's an Issa D'Oraisa.
Yeah, because you have a juice.
It's still it's a lettuce boy. It's just not in the Klirisha. I don't know what it is exactly. I don't know what it is. I mean,
It's just not.
They hold, based on their Rabbeinu Yoina, that once it goes out of a Klirisha, so it doesn't have the power to actually cook something else, even though it's still cooked, can't cook something else. So to bring it back into a Klirisha is considered bishul. But is that actual bishul d'oraisa? I don't know. Not sure. I don't know. I mean, if they hold this in Issa d'oraisa, would you be allowed to ask somebody to do it? If you actually hold Issa d'oraisa? Okay, you know he doesn't. You do. How could you ask somebody to do that? I don't know. Not simple.
He gave another example of making coffee. I don't know exactly what the Ashkenazim hold about a person puts coffee first and then the water on top. If it's cooked coffee, that's not such a big deal.
From a Kli Rishon or from a Kli Sheni?
Yirim Kli Rishon.
Yirim Kli Rishon onto coffee that was cooked. So basically, you're relying on the fact that it was ein bishlach rafiyah. That's the heter, basically. Clear is the same as a fiyah. Yeah, the Ramah is machmer on that. And the mashmos of the mechaber is to be mekel. So what was the
The
question?
Ramah thinks that it's not an answer. It wouldn't be an answer to the right side or it would be an answer to the right side. Machmer.
I mean, the Ramah says that the minhag is to be machmer on that. I don't know if it's a clear psak.
He gave also that example that the Sephardi Jews allowed to do for Ashkenaz.
Right.
Even,
Yeah, there. I don't think it's a clear psak.
I don't have any examples of real rights.
Right. Not here right now.
Missing one for the but no pray. One pray. We have 5.
We have 5 that didn't know.
Yes. And we're missing one. None.
Is there anybody else around the building? No.
No. Yeah, I checked that. So missing one. I'll check if somebody around the building.
No, I didn't hear anybody. When I came in, it was very quiet.
Our neighbor is already praying.
I'm going to ask him.
Rabbi, you're allowed to pray, and by thinking if you're missing a minyan in the class, it doesn't count, and you can pray again to lashlim the minyan or just sit down. Let's say I'm going to pray in this.
No, if you prayed again, you can't do the
No,
davar.
but my mind said if you're missing the one for the minyan, I can be mashlim. Can I do
You already
that?
did. You already prayed. You can't. We discussed it last week. Can't do an adava to help for a minyan. Okay.
But if you know for sure, then you don't daven. You just sit.
I didn't daven. I know that for sure. I didn't daven.
Okay.
You done it.
Ask the Rama.
You done silly.
But anyway, repetition.
Okay. Okay, my friends. Here's the Chazon Ish. Chazon Ish says a big chiddush. Chazon Ish says that when you have a can and you fill it with tomato sauce, pickles, who knows what, and then you seal it up, not you, but the factory seals it up, at that point it becomes like a stone.
Sealed up again?
A sealed can is like a stone. It has no use. You can't get anything inside. It's not like a keli anymore.
What you can do? Put the refrigerator on, make it higher, essentially the wheels.
Do that for a stone too. Do that for a stone too. The point is, according to the Chazon Ish, when you, I'm sorry?
It can be like an apple when you open the can.
No, here's what it is. Instead of it being a shaila of stira b'kelim, according to the Chazon Ish, it's a shaila of binyan b'kelim. Normally, when you break open a keli, it's a shaila of stira, destroying. Chazon Ish says, no, it's not destroying, because it's not a keli, it has no use, it has no function. The problem is that you're making a keli. Now, based on this Chazon Ish, there's room to be matir. He doesn't say it. But the later person can say, okay, since the whole issue is that you are...
Why don't we want a laboratory budget? Because actually this is going to be the final act by opening it and then you have the final kill.
Could be Makav Patish too. Not a steer. Could be. But based on this Chazon Ish, the later place can say, well, if you open it in a way that does not keep it as a functioning keli, for example, you open it, let's say from both sides, or you open it in a way like we discussed, you open the top and you bend it in a way that there's a jagged edge. So it's a dangerous thing to use. So you went from a non-keli to a non-keli. So based on this, it would be mutter. However, not everybody agrees with that. Other poskim, the Tila Ladavar that I mentioned before, says no, even when it's a sealed can, it's still a keli. It's just sealed. You understand? It's not that it's not a keli. It's holding something. It's serving a function, of holding it is just very tightly closed, still a keli, and therefore to break it open becomes a shaila of stira, even if you would break open both ends. So, see, this is something that I would venture to say is mutter to benefit from. If they opened it in a way that they opened both ends, then you have perhaps on what to rely. I think you have on what to rely to benefit from it. Why? Because here you have a sfek sveka. First of all, you have the svara of Rav Moshe, that if it's a throwaway keli, it's mutter. I mean, besides the fact that you have those that say ein binyan b'kelim b'chlal, sheet of Rashi and the Rif and other Rishonim, that there's no binyan even in a strong keli. Okay, then you have Moshe who says a throwaway keli, and then you have the Chazon Ish who says that it's not considered a keli. So even if you're going to be machmer for yourself, but the benefit from it, I would say, if you know, then for sure. If you don't know, I have to get back to you. Maybe.
I know people open the top and the bottom.
Yeah.
But I can never figure out how they do that at the same time. Because if you just do one,
yeah,
you have the problem. Even a couple of minutes or a minute later.
Yeah.
How do they do it?
It's
device they can put on? Or?
No, it's difficult.
It seems like there's an even bigger problem because you're filtering out the juice.
Huh?
Like when you open the tuna, you smack one of the sides to make a hole in it, and you flip it over to open the top. Meanwhile, all the juice is leaking out.
Yeah, that's not a problem.
That's not good.
Oh, yeah,
It's not like a sieve.
no, my question was,
Right, you're taking out the bad.
if you just do one at a time.
No, you're leaving the good. Right. No, the good thing, you're picking up the good.
Yeah, so it's a sieve.
Sieve is filtering out.
If you do one at a time,
It seems like that.
what do you call it? People say they do both.
The tuna stays up there, the juice comes out.
Some tuna can come out. Same thing with porn.
You know what? I don't know. It's not simple.
Isn't a crucible exactly the same thing?
What?
A crucible. Like it's a completely.
What's a crucible?
When they make like swords, they put the ore in like a completely sealed klicheres.
Okay.
And they put it in the fire,
Okay.
and then it melts and it puts all the stuff
Oh,
together.
you're talking about
And then
mold.
you smack the klicheres, and then you have your metal.
It's
So
a mold. You have a
the
chemical.
crucible is definitely a kli, even though it's completely sealed on all sides.
I don't know. Never really seen it, so I can't
That's requiring
really
another
say.
question. What about a can, unlike a soda can, that has a piece on the top that you pull off in order to open it? But it's not like soda can you bend. Okay.
Yeah, that's no difference. That makes no
Same
difference.
thing?
Makes no difference, yeah.
Yeah, if you have to do that, it's not fruit, but it's that would be good.
Yeah. No, he didn't respond. Okay, so I'm not clear about that. It would seem that it's difficult to do both sides. I don't know. If you just bend the top in such a way that it's jagged, I think that's a simpler way. Or the Chazon Ish. So, coming back to this, so to the what are those called again? Bottles, the bottle caps. The bottle caps do not have the heter. It's very important. The bottle caps do not have the heter of a throwaway item because you don't throw it away right away. You actually reuse it. Shomea?
Plastic one?
Plastic one. You
Yeah,
reuse it till you finish the bottle. Open, close, open, close, open,
This one,
close.
this one, the water.
Exactly.
It's a small bottle that you're gonna pour all at the same time.
If it's normal to pour it all at once, but I mean, I don't know if
You get the small soda bottles.
I'm not talking about soda bottles. I'm talking about a bottle like that
Yeah.
with
No,
a
smaller than that.
with one that has a cap that has a ring that snaps off. So there, usually you put the cap back on and off. So that the heter that we said for a Moshe doesn't apply. On the other hand, yeah,
Not that bottle?
this bottle, exactly
That
this
bottle.
bottle, you open, close, open, close. But on the other hand, there is brought down in the name of Shlomo Zalman. It's not printed in his farm. In his farm, he says clearly bottle caps are a problem. Clearly. Chiyuv chatas. He says he's choishish of chiyuv chatas. Of Shlomo Zalman Auerbach. But in later's farm, they say that he explained that he was not talking about the plastic ones, he was talking about the metal ones. The plastic ones he considered to be a complete keli even before it's broken off, and that the change with the ring, without the ring, was not a significant change.
The metal one isn't.
A metal one isn't. A metal one is not mutter according to Reb Shlomo Zalman. And
It's not a complete keli.
so what's the difference between them? Yossi says, and I didn't see it clearly written, so I'm not 100% sure, that when they make it in the factory, they make it as a metal, like a plate, and they just mash it down. They stamp it down. So it has never had the shape of a cap until you actually remove it. Whereas here, it already has that full shape, and you're just removing
When they
that.
put it on the bottle, they press it on.
Exactly. Exactly. They
I
press it
thought
on.
they same the same thing with whatever they do with the metal, with the plastic.
I don't know. I mean, my understanding, again, I don't have it clear from the things that I've seen. My understanding of it was that it was talking about the vodka bottles where the metal is connected to a long sleeve of, you understand what I'm saying? Where it's a whole sleeve of metal that goes down, and the can on the top of it is connected to this whole sleeve. So there, it's really not a separate bottle top until you break it off. With a ring, it's a bottle top, it has a ring, big deal. But there, until it's separated, it's actually not a ring. See, that was my understanding. And based on that, maybe if it's just a metal with a little ring, instead of those long ones, maybe it would be mutter. So I'm going to leave that also open for your further investigation.
Before you mentioned in terms of a can that was open,
Yes?
and you didn't use all of it at one time,
Yeah.
that's still a throwaway in the sense that even though you didn't use all of it, as soon as you empty the contents of
Those that hold that throwaway is not a keli, like a Moshe, would say that even though you don't use all at once. Okay, so I do want to say that there are Lubavitchers who open bottle openings like the vodka bottles, even though it's metal, and their, I don't want to say the word excuse, but their explanation for it is that by the Farbrengens, sometimes they would open such bottles in front of the Rebbe, and the Rebbe did not protest. So my answer to them is, first of all, generally, the Rebbe wanted all of those bottles to be opened before Shabbos. He specifically said, I heard that from the secretary. And the fact that sometimes it was opened on Shabbos in front of him, I read a talk of the Rebbe, where the Rebbe specifically says that just because something happens in front of me doesn't mean I agree with it. I don't remember the exact context of it. Let me see if I can remember. had to do with Kriyas HaTorah. There was some issue with Kriyas HaTorah. Huh?
You won't need a cert
I'm telling you what the Rebbe said. The Rebbe said, just because it happens in front of me and I don't protest, doesn't mean I agree. It had to do with something that happened in the shul, Kriyas HaTorah, something. And the Rebbe said, even though I don't necessarily protest everything, and the fact that I don't protest doesn't mean I agree with it, but in that case, the Rebbe got involved, which could mean the Rebbe is saying, I don't always get involved in everything. There are things that people do, and they do it. Not everybody has to listen to the Rebbe. There are other poskim. Chaznish is a posik. Or Moshe is a posik. The Rebbe is going to, people are doing it, they're doing it, On the contrary, the Rebbe had a policy that it should be open, so his opinion was clear. If somebody's doing something else, he didn't necessarily have to protest. So I don't find that to be a convincing argument. And therefore, I was very upset when my daughter, who was learning Hilchos Shabbos last year, came back with, I was reviewing her packet, and it said that you're allowed to open all kinds of bottles on Shabbos, no problem. And in the note they said that's what happened by the Rebbe's for Bringings. Like, that's it. No, nothing to talk about. We don't have to go into anything else. Rishonim, Achronim, not necessary. Anyway, I don't believe that's the way to paskin or to learn. Sorry?
I don't understand what kind of bottle we're speaking about. This kind of bottle?
No. It's about what they have is they have the metal caps.
It's going down, yeah.
And then
like the old Cadden bottles?
Yeah. No, the glass.
They make it with plastic, I think.
It's the glass bottles, right?
it's glass bottles, yeah.
Yeah, with the bottle cap, the plastic bottle cap.
But it goes down the stem, like in here, where you have a long.
Exactly.
It's fantastic.
Oh, he never responded.
Look where.
Okay. You see here? You see it? The bottle is metal on the bottom, and the metal goes all the way down here.
When you lift your phone,
The metal goes all the way down. You see?
okay.
So when you screw it off, you're making a cap, because until then it was connected to a whole long piece, which wasn't a cap. Understand?
What's the difference between that and this then?
The difference is because that's basically a cap, except that it has a ring. But it's a functional cap with a ring.
That's a whole.
But
piece of metal
that
that's
can't function as a cap as long as it has that huge piece of metal. You have to break it off in order to make it functional as a cap.
But how about those one also come with a cover?
On
Yeah, and the wine bottle, and wine also.
Yeah, but it was never separated. So right now it's not a cap. It's part of a whole piece of
It's like a
metal
tube.
that's not a
It's like
cap.
a tube.
You're saying the whole thing is built as one?
Yeah,
It's like a
it's
tube.
made as one. It's not made as a piece of metal and another piece of metal and then just welded together. It's put on
It's
like
a
a
tube. It's like a
sleeve.
tube.
It's like a sleeve put on, but it's perforated around there, ready for you to break. But until you break it, it never had an entity.
But
It
how
never
about
had
the
an
wine-
existence as a
But the
separate
wine
cap.
bottles also have
Yeah,
that. And you have to break it, you have to tear it out.
So what? If it has it, it's a problem. I mean,
So you can't open a new wine bottle?
if it has the sleeve all the way down, no,
Most of them do.
in my opinion.
No, the
And
wine,
Shlomo Zalman's opinion, who am I?
Yeah.
Rabbi,
I do want to say, not everybody agrees. The Yaakov Yosef, for example, says that the main halacha is like the opinions that say Ein binyan b'kelim. Ein binyan
Is
b'kelim.
that Rashi?
That's Rashi, and it's the Rif, and he says that many Achronim hold that Pshat in the Rambam, and many Rishonim hold that. And maybe if the Mechaber had known how many Rishonim hold that, he would have agreed with it. And the Vilna Gaon Paschal like that. So according to that, okay, that's a different story. Ein binyan b'kelim
Says that
b'chlal.
all wine bottles
so
have-
so if in Binyan Bekilim, you're allowed to do that.
You have a wine bottle with a cork.
Well, one mile.
And
No,
there's,
there's two parts.
it goes, a piece of plaster goes over the cork and has writing on it. So on Shabbos, you can't open that. So what you do is you cut around it so that piece comes off. Are you allowed to do it on Shabbos?
Yeah.
It's not a problem.
Yeah,
It's
you're not creating
making
it.
a cable.
Yeah, you're not creating anything. That's
You're
okay.
talking about like the old Smirnoff.
Yeah.
Now since they make it from plastic.
Okay. Adam.
The old Kelem also, Kelem used to be the same, the old one. To come with metal, not
Yeah.
plastic.
Yeah, I hear. Okay, we have a lot to figure out for next week, but that's what I have to say for now. I have a couple of questions from last night's class. David is writing. You said it might be a problem to cut an Israeli salad, but some sources say if you cut larger before the meal, it's okay. That's correct, right before the meal. Is it okay to cut a regular lettuce salad that's not an Israeli salad? Some people cut the lettuce, etc. I believe it's okay. I don't think a regular salad has that same shot. I think it's only the smaller cut salads like Israeli salad. But we will get to it in 321. Is it okay to cut a cake into measured pieces? Yes. Jews can cut a cake into measured pieces. We said yesterday that mechatech, which is cutting in a measured way, is not also for foods. Number 3, someone once told me it's okay if you absolutely need to tear toilet paper as long as you don't tear along the perforation. If there was nothing else to use, such as tissues, wouldn't that still be a problem because you're tearing a measured distance? No. 1 second. Don't cut with a measured distance. Don't do it on the perforation, but also don't do it in a measured distance. In other words, don't do it exactly 1 or 2 or 3 squares. Just do it randomly, but you should still do it with your teeth or any other kalach yad. Because besides the issue of measured, you also have the issue of making a keli, making a functional piece of paper. So therefore, you want to just cut it with your teeth or some other kalachayat.
You just pull it apart.
No.
The middle and pull.
No,
Nobody said.
it's a problem.
For the Machmerim,
It's a problem. Sorry?
for the Machmerim, I have a goy neighbor. I would allow to have the vodka with a long cup to take it to him and to open.
I asked Rav Deitch about this, Shai. No, not yesterday. When I was in Kollel 20 years ago. Not 20. 18 years ago. Can you ask a goy to open these bottles that have the metal caps?
Give him the fire.
And Rav Deitch would not give a heter because he said, you can ask him to do something that's only a Shaila of Binyan or Stira. But what about Makkah B'Patash?
What about is no keli, no keli, like-
Tishma. What about Makkah B'Patash? Rashi is mater Binyan, but Makkah B'Patash is a problem. He didn't want to give a heter
Why
for
is
that.
this not Makal Patish according to, or let's say the metal one? Koya could just, if you're saying, goes like the Rashi and the
Right.
Rif. Why is that not Makal Patish? I won't
That's
be
a
able
good
to
question.
use anything. It's the only-
That's a good question.
Well, it's not the lasting blow to create it, it's the lasting blow to it's like to use it.
To make it a functional keli. That's
So,
the
Rabbi,
problem. Why is it not Makkah B'Patash? I don't know.
If it's,
If it would be throwaway mamish, then you could say because it's not a keli b'chlal, it's like a peel. But it's not a throwaway thing. You use it again and again until you finish the bottle,
Some people even use this to refill.
right? So we have to figure that out. What's the heter? Why is it not Makkah B'Patash?
so
That's something for next week. So figure it out. No, if you find one, I would appreciate it.
if everybody
It's such a big sugya.
if everybody
Yes.
said it's a no keli with the we said that a second ago, no keli, no, it's no keli. If it's a no keli, you're allowed to tell the boy. If it's no keli,
It is a kli. Who says it's not a kli?
we no, but yes, you said before.
Ein binyan b'keli,
Ein
but
binyan b'keli.
Makkah B'Patash, yes. Makkah B'Patash, yes. Sorry, you're allowed to what? You're allowed to cut food in a measured way.
Not to measure.
No, you can't use a ruler. You can't cut it with a ruler, but you can cut it with your mind. Exact.
Reminder says you're allowed to weigh food. Would there be a difference?
How's the government supposed to be?
That's a mitzvah. That's a mitzvah. That's not food. That's a mitzvah. Not
Right.
food. Food in general you can't weigh.
What about these cutters?
2 ounce, 1 ounce. On Shabbos, you cannot measure.
Why? Oh, for babies, you mean?
Yeah, for kids.
Maybe that's like a mitzvah for their health. I don't know. Sorry.
They have these things that they use in restaurants. It's like a pie cutter that has it's a ring and it has little pieces that go in and you push it over the top, just like an apple core.
No problem.
That's not even though
It's basically like a bunch of knives put together.
Right.
No problem.
By the way, a radio on Shabbos, you're allowed to lower the volume. Or by a goat, you're allowed to lower the volume to shut it off.
Which volume?
One with the wheels.
A guy,
Came on, the radio came on Shabbos.
you tell the guy that you
You're
needed
allowed
it.
to let go to lower the
Not
volume
directly.
to shut it off.
Not directly. You tell him you don't need it and it's bothering you and whatever, but not directly. Hint it. You can hint it. But just to go back to your Shaila, it's like an egg slicer. You're allowed to use an egg slicer on Shabbos. You are.
Okay.
Because you're allowed to cut eggs. You're allowed to cut them small. And what's an egg slicer? It's just a bunch of little knives put together.
What about an apple core?
Same thing.
Same.
You're just cutting apples
You're allowed
all
to
at once.
You're allowed to use a peeler.
Peeler is a machlokes. I'm going to get to it.
What we said yesterday, that if he would dice those apples, it would also be a problem. It's like dicing anything that goes to the ground.
No, dicing is a machlokes. Dicing is a machlokes because that could be like toichen. That could be toichen. That's why you should only do it before eating and bigger than usual.
Why not as usual?
I'm saying bigger than a usual dice. If you're doing it to eat slices,
Bigger than usual cubes during the week.
no, bigger than a usual small cubes during the week. If you're cutting it to eat your apple wedges, that's not a shayla of
So you're
tochen.
taking a cucumber, making regular slices.
Regular slice is not a shayla of tochen. It's the small, very small, like an Israeli salad type of thing. That's look good. Okay, that's where it's a little bit not clear. But a regular wedge of a cucumber is not a shayla of tochen.
What's a wedge?
Wedge like a circle or like a stick, like a cucumber stick. Yeah, that's not a shayla. Okay, my friends. In the 5 minutes that we have left, we will forge right ahead. How do you like that? So, we having a minion from Irv? That's not. Okay, the Mechaber says, this we already said in the Alter Rebbe. You're allowed to unravel or cut the knots of the shpud, which was like a skewer that is holding together the lamb or the bird, the chicken, whatever that's being roasted. Yud, chosomas rebekarka. These are the seals or the covers of something that's connected to the ground. For example, you have the door or the cover over a pit attached with a chevel. You're allowed to untie it. That's not a permanent knot. Because it's made to untie. But you cannot unravel it or break it because of steer. Now the rope is just a rope. What's the rope? The rope is no stronger, whether it's attached to the ground or it's attached to a keli. But because it's attached to the ground, it's considered as part of the ground, and breaking it is more strict. When it comes to breaking anything attached to the ground, even if it's a binyan garua, is considered stira. So
what does it mean to unravel the rope? In other words, take apart all the braids or something like that?
Exactly.
Okay.
Take apart the braids to be able to get into that opening. But that's only if this was in the first place attached in a way that it was going to stay there for the course of Shabbos. But a opening, or a door, I should say, that was not made for any permanence at all, is permissible to open. So, for example, in the olden days, when they would have ovens that they wanted to put stuff in and keep it very hot, they would seal the front of the oven with a piece of wood. And they would even smear in that piece of wood to stay in place with some kind of cement. So it was like strong, attached, you might say. But because their intention in putting it there was to remove it on Shabbos itself, so it's never considered to be part of the binyan, and you were allowed to remove it on Shabbos. They wanted to seal it because they wanted to seal in the heat. They didn't want the heat to escape. And even though it was sealed, you were allowed to break it open on Shabbos to get to the chalent or whatever else was inside, because it was only sealed in a temporary way in the first place. Therefore, it never really became part of the ground. It's like any door that is constantly made to open and close, right? Like we said many times, it's not destroying or building when you open it and close it. So even though here was closed in a more strong way, but that was understood that was not going to be permanent, and therefore it's never really part of the building.
I don't understand that. So it has nothing to do with the knot itself. It has to do with whether or not it's normally open or closed.
No. In other words, if it is a thing that stays there, even when you open it, it stays there. You close it, stays there, open and close it. So then it becomes part of the ground. And therefore, to rip or to break the rope that's connecting it is considered ripping something that's considered connected to the ground. But if it's only there in a temporary way, and you're going to remove it and it's not going to stay there, so then it's not considered part of the ground in the first place.
If it's a kesher shakayam, can you untie it? Even if it's something that's part of the ground.
Kesher shakayam you can't untie for a mountain.
So here it's not talking about a kesher shakayam.
No. He says clearly, it's not a kesher shakayam because people would open and close it. But the chiddush is, if they would not just open it, but they would remove that, and it was not kept as the cover of this thing. So it was only put there on a temporary basis, with the understanding it's going to be removed and it's not going to stay there. So then it never becomes part of the ground in the first place. That's the chiddush. All right, my friends, a lot of questions that have to be answered hopefully next week. For now, if you're not sure, just refrain from opening any jars or bottles or cans that you're not sure about.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thank you. Oh, jelly jar is not connected. I mean, the jar, it's two separate things, the jar and the cover.
Right, so Makar Patish is only one's connected.
Makar Patish is when you are changing the keli in a way that completes it. Here, there's no change to the keli. It has something that's covering it. It's just tight. Yeah, it's never become one. It's two separate things.
What about these plastic things?
Anybody coming?
I couldn't get through to my guy.
Thank you for asking.
בעשר וחצי יש בישיבה.
בעשר וחצי? פה אצלך?
לא, בישיבת חיים.
Yeah, just pass one more goodie, please. Top, please. Achad. I get in trouble if I take just one. Just one. Achad. Achad.
That's the wash it down.
No. Thank you very much. Okay, have a good night, everybody.
אם יחיד או חמישה